Animation is intimidating. Sitting down for hours to draw in-betweens, making sure everything looks smooth, and just jumping over the hurdle of drawing something new. That's scary, and what can I say? Mama did in fact raise a coward. The most amount of animations I've done were those flip-o-clip animations where you screen record and then move the frames back and forth, and that was enough for me. That itself was already a challenge. But then I saw this animation going around and I saw it and I couldn't stop thinking about my OCs. You know, the ones who are magical girls and purify vampires? Yeah, those OCs. And one thing about me, when I say I couldn't stop thinking about them, I mean I can't stop no matter what I'm doing. Washing the dishes? Thinking about my OCs. Doing homework? Thinking about OCs. Editing the video as we speak? I'm thinking about my OCs. So what better way to get an idea out of your system than to draw it? Before I even started animating, I wanted to make I guess you could say a rough draft, a collage draft, if you will. This decision was heavily based on K-pop demon hunters. I saw that they used humans and had them act out the scenes for animation. It's hard to explain fully, so instead of explaining, I'm just going to show you it. And while this seems really messy, it was very, very helpful when I had to animate things that I wasn't used to, like this head angle or hair in the wind. By slowing down these animations bit by bit, I could see exactly what they did and try to replicate that in my own way. When it came to doing the rough draft, I actually did them out of order, with the animation of Emmy turning going first, the animation of Ivy tilting her head up going second, and then the animation with the hair in the wind going third. I did this because I was scared. I was so intimidated that I knew that if I don't start with something simpler, I would just not do the project. And I was right, it was actually a lot simpler, so much so that I actually have nothing to say for this segment of the video. And because of that, allow me to talk to you about my OCs. The characters in this animation are Emmy and Ivy, and they are a part of this magical girl vampire story that I have named Vienna, which is also the name of the town that they live in. To put it simply, their story focuses on a vampire apocalypse, I guess you can say, that's affecting their town. And when I say vampires, I don't mean in the traditional sense, where they're like sentient and aware of what they're doing. I mean in more of like a zombie sense. So they have the aesthetic of a vampire, but they work like zombies. They can't think about what they're doing. All they do is crave blood, and they will do anything to get that blood. There are actually 4 protagonists, but this animation focuses on 2 of the protagonists. Ivy, who is a vampire slayer, and Emmy, who is a vampire. Throughout the story, Emmy is actually missing, and she has been for a while now, alongside a lot of people from her community. And Ivy has been leading a brigade to find these missing people. In a way, she's kind of seen as the hero of the town because of how much she does for everyone. So this animation focuses on Ivy's feelings towards Emmy, after finding out that Emmy is probably missing because she was turned into a vampire. In a way, it's kind of an eternal conflict for Ivy. Would she be able to kill Emmy? Emmy and her have grown up together. They have always been best friends, and honestly, probably something closer than best friends. They used to hang out every day. Whenever Emmy had a hard time, she would always run away from home and come see Ivy. And when Ivy felt the most alone, she would go see Emmy. She's been telling people that the only way to not only protect the community, but to make sure that the vampires stop suffering is by killing them. But can she drive herself to do that? And if she can't, does that make her a hypocrite? Does that mean that people shouldn't look up to her? Does that mean that she's lying to these people? Does that mean that she is disappointing her family? In a way, Emmy is just a faceless entity of Ivy's internal feelings. She is the battle of what she thinks she should be doing and what she wants to do. Can these two parts of her coexist? Also, Emmy kind of haunts the narrative in a way that it isn't even about her anymore. She is the face of these people who have gone missing and they don't know anything about her. People make assumptions about her that aren't even true, but they don't know that. Emmy isn't real. She is a figment of everyone's projection. Woo! Now would you look at that? We're already at the second animation. You know, when I first started this video, I was so worried that making that rough animated collage would take away from the animation experience and it wouldn't be the same, because in a way, I'm basing my animation off of a different animation. So is that really me animating, or am I just stealing? And then I started this animation bit and I realized I don't think I would have made this video without that collage. This head tilt was so difficult for me, and I truly do think it's just a skill issue because I've never drawn from this angle before. So how am I supposed to even animate from this angle? It was so tedious. If I moved the nose a bit too high, it would look weird. If I moved the ear a bit too low, it would also look weird. I spent so much time just on this animation bit, and it's only 2 seconds long. Also, it was so hard to keep the characters' proportions the same. I never realized how different my characters would look if you just move the lips a bit too high, or you move the chin a bit too low. It all has to stay proportional, and that was very hard for me. It also doesn't help that I think this segment had the most frames, which was only 12. So it's not the average. I think that's actually the lower side of the average frames per second. But it was still really hard for me. But I did learn a few hacks, like the copy and paste button. I never thought that, hey, for animation, you could just copy and paste a bit of it and then alter it. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that at all. Also, the smudge tool was so helpful during this process. I never considered that the smudge tool would help me move things around in animation. Love it. 10 out of 10. Would use again. If the last animated section was hard, this animated section was like fighting the devil from the Bible. Animating hair is hard, dude. I looked at a lot of tutorials and most of them just told me to think of it like a snake, like a noodle in the wind. But I still couldn't get the last frames to look correct. I don't know why. But slowly I looked at more tutorials and I tried different frames and I replaced some frames, and after a while, I really liked the way it was coming out. Although I struggled so much with this process, so much so that the highlights that you're watching right now, they weren't made by me. I ended up having to pass them to Cinnamon Spiders so that they could do it because I struggled so much. But honestly, I can't say that I wouldn't do it again. When I finally opened CapCut to edit, I was already so excited because post-production, editing, that's my bitch. That is my day job. I love editing, but it wasn't always smooth sailing. I think during this section, I struggled a lot with the filters. I really liked the grading that I did on the initial 2 seconds of the animation, but for some reason, when I put it on the hair movement, it just didn't work. She looked like I rubbed Vaseline on the screen. I don't know. And truthfully, I was in a bad mindset when editing this. I mean, I was just getting beaten up for like 3 days straight on animation, and then I wasn't even happy with this last animated bit. The hair section, I keep bringing it up because I hated it so much. I thought it looked so ugly, and genuinely, I was considering scrapping this animation because of that scene alone. But Cinnamon Spiders encouraged me to keep going and said that it would probably look better once I cover up her face, and that her face being still might be what's throwing me off. And I think they were right. I do think they were right. I know that I've been complaining this entire video. This entire time, I'm like, this was hard. That was hard. I wanted to cry. And truthfully, I did want to cry. But I can say that I had a great time. There were so many times throughout this progress where I was sitting on my phone scrolling on social media, and instead of having to force myself off my phone in order to be productive, I genuinely wanted to get up and draw. That is very rare for me, but animating has just been so fun. It's so difficult, and I think that's why I like it. Do I think this animation is perfect? No, not at all. I actually think there are a lot of flaws that even now I would want to change. But I am so proud of myself for setting up a challenge and then accomplishing that challenge. And I'm so proud of myself for making my characters move. These are my characters and they're moving. That's crazy. Animation has truly taught me to enjoy the process of creating. It's been teaching me to push past those difficult parts in the process, because without that, I wouldn't have made this video that I am so proud of. Animation is making me so much more passionate about my art again. And that's huge for me. Now, every time I wake up, I think about drawing. I'm excited. I've been thinking about redesigning characters and designing new ones, and I've been making more storylines for my characters in order to animate them. And I've been feeling creative, and I've been making a lot more shorts on my page. I am having so much fun with art again, and that is a feeling that I haven't felt in so long. And I thought I would never get that feeling back ever again. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so back!